Now, if there are no effective new sanctions against Iran, Israel will strike. The former Deputy Defense Minister in Tel Aviv said if the international community failed to stop Tehran's nuclear ambitions, a military conflict is inevitable. For more on this issue, Priya Sridhar joins us from Washington, D.C. Hello to you, Priya. Now, what's the significance of a statement by former Deputy Minister Ephraim Sneh?
Hi there. Well, that's something that we're going to discuss right now. But Israel's former deputy defense minister has said that his country will be forced to attack Iran's nuclear sites if Western powers don't enforce sanctions on Iran by the end of this year. Now, this news comes just days after Iran's chief nuclear minister said that his country will engage in nuclear talks with Western powers. But many people are saying that Iran is just pretending to be diplomatic when in reality they're just trying to stall potential sanctions. So what's really happening, and should we be worried about a potential nuclear blowout? Well, joining me to discuss this and help answer those questions is RT contributor and investigative journalist Wayne Madsen. Wayne, thank you so much for joining me. First of all, what exactly does Israel want? What kind of sanctions are they looking for? And is it realistic that these sanctions could be imposed by the end of this year?
Well, they're talking about everything from economic sanctions, cutting off the sale of Iranian oil, bank sanctions, closing down Iranian banks in foreign countries, all the way to imposing travel restrictions on Iranian government officials. And of course, if that happens, pretty much these negotiations that are taking place in other countries, that would be scuttled.
And, you know, Iran has said that it will engage with nuclear talks in October with Western powers, but it didn't really make it clear as to whether they're going to discuss their own nuclear program. What do you think? Will they discuss that?
Well, it's a diplomatic negotiation tactic, never to show your cards early on. Obviously, they also said that they would be open to discussing nuclear issues. Now, I think it's pretty clear that one of the things Iran will be interested in is discussing Israel's nuclear weapons, and that's where Israel doesn't want to go because it officially doesn't even admit that it has nuclear weapons.
And, you know, many people have said that Iran's chief nuclear minister just said that he would engage in these talks to stall potential sanctions. Do you think that's a realistic option?
Well, I mean, we have to understand that this deputy minister was in Washington courtesy of the Israel Project, which is a relatively new player in the entire Israel lobby that operates here in the nation's capital. I think we have to look at that situation as possibly trying to scuttle the Obama administration's willingness to engage in direct negotiations with Iran. So we have to be very careful that the players in Washington, especially inside the Obama administration, aren't acting as agents, if you will, for the Israeli government that could see these negotiations, you know, basically tossed aside.
And is it actually realistic for Israel to attack Iran's nuclear sites, or do you think they're just saying that to put pressure on Western powers to enforce those sanctions?
Well, last year Israel engaged in some military training exercises. It looked like it could be for an air attack on Iran, but the problem for Israel is the airspace between Israel and Iran is basically controlled by the United States. It's Iraq, it's Saudi Arabia, so any attack would have to have the acquiescence of the United States, and right now, with the U.S. wanting to engage in direct negotiation with Iran, that may not be a foregone conclusion that the U.S. would approve of such an attack.
And, you know, Iran keeps maintaining that their uranium enrichment program is strictly for civilian purposes. What evidence do we have that that's not true, or it is true?
Well, we still don't have anything from the CIA since their finding in 2003 that Iran had abandoned its nuclear weapons program and was engaging in the uranium enrichment for its nuclear power program for peaceful uses of nuclear power. So we have nothing further from the CIA to say that that is still not the case. So Israel, of course, will be pushing the notion that the weapons program continued and that the CIA was originally wrong. I would go with the CIA's judgment in that case.
Well, it's certainly a very scary proposition, and as we get closer to those October talks, we'll continue to keep you updated on the latest developments. But for now, back to you in Moscow.
We'll get back to you, Priya, as soon as possible. And that was Priya Sridhar in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much, Priya.